Russia's chief military officer announced Thursday that Moscow's forces had taken full control of Kupiansk in Ukraine's Kharkiv region, but that some Ukrainian troops remained in the city. According to Associated Press, Ukrainian officials have yet to comment on the statement. General Valery Gerasimov provided no further evidence to support the claim, which could not be independently verified. In a video released by Russian state media, Gerasimov told Russian President Vladimir Putin that Russian troops had taken the city and continued to destroy Ukrainian forces encircled on the left bank of the Oskil River. The video was released a day after a Russian strike on the western city of Ternopil killed 26 people and wounded 93 others. About 24 people are still missing. In response to the general's claims, Putin said Ukraine was being run by an organized crime syndicate, holding on to power under the pretext of continuing the war with Russia. Putin's comments referred to the dismissal by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy of two top government officials after investigators revealed that $100 million had been embezzled from the energy sector.
Объединенная группировка войск ведет боевые действия по плану специальной операции. Начальник генерального штаба Валерий Герасимов. Командный путь.
Штурмовые подразделения группировки успешно продвигаются в юго-восточной части Волчанска. Освобождено на сегодняшний день более 80% территории города. Соединения группировки «Запад» освободили город Купянск и продолжает уничтожение формирований вооруженных сил Украины, окруженных на левом берегу реки Оскол.
Планируете дальнейшую работу на что такое политическое руководство Украины, мы уже понимаем. Это уже никакое не политическое руководство. С марта прошлого года группа лиц, это преступная группировка, организованное преступное сообщество, которое с марта прошлого года узурпировало власть и под предлогом необходимости продолжения войны с Россией удерживают эту власть на Украине с целью личного обогащения. Надеется на вас и ожидает нужного стране результата. И это стало хорошо известным теперь фактом по результатам антикоррупционного расследования в самой Украине. И думаю, что для всех понятно, что эти люди, сидя на золотых горшках, вряд ли думают о судьбе своей страны, о судьбе простых людей Украины.
Товарищ Верховный Командующий, задачи будут выполнены.
The Russian-American peace plan includes, among other things, declaring Russian the official language in Ukraine and resuming the work of the Russian Orthodox Church in Kiev-controlled territory. The Ukrainian leadership will not accept this plan in its current form, the Financial Times reports, citing informed sources. As the publication notes, the peace plan is in the early stages of development, but was already conveyed to Kyiv this week by U.S. Presidential Envoy Steve Witkoff through Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine Rustem Umerov. According to people directly familiar with the document, the draft plan requires Ukraine to cede Donbass, including territories not yet occupied, reduce the number of the Ukrainian armed forces by half, abandon key categories of weapons, reduce U.S. military aid to Ukraine, to grant the Russian language the status of an official state language in Ukraine, grant official status to the local branch of the Russian Orthodox Church. Recognition of Crimea and Donbass as Russian territory is one of the main conditions of the plan. According to the Financial Times, the adoption of this plan would potentially leave Ukraine vulnerable to future Russian aggression. A source familiar with the document described it as very general and heavily biased in Russia's favor. Another informed source called it very convenient for Putin. Officials in Kiev familiar with the plan told the publication's author that the document meets the Kremlin's maximalist demands and that Ukraine will not accept it without significant changes. The leak of the document has raised concerns in Washington, Brussels, and Kiev. Experts note that the implementation of such a plan, especially the Crimea issue, is extremely difficult from both a political and legal perspective. According to analysts, the leaked text may be more aimed at testing the positions of the parties, gauging the reaction of international public opinion, and defining the framework for possible negotiations. Trump's proposal for U.S. security guarantees as a kind of consolation prize for Ukraine is also more than strange, the Telegraph columnist Daniel DePetris notes. Trump's proposal for U.S. security guarantees as a kind of consolation prize for Ukraine is also more than strange, the analyst says. First, it contradicts Trump's entire premise of abdicating security obligations that shouldn't be demanded of the U.S. military. In fact, such a scheme runs counter to the America First principle. Secondly, how would bringing Ukraine under the American security umbrella differ from offering Kyiv NATO membership, a decision that successive U.S. administrations have avoided for 2 decades, as it would inevitably anger Russia and require a unanimous decision within the alliance, he notes. Some NATO members may even oppose U.S. security guarantees, fearing that Trump and his successors will expect them to help defend Ukraine if the situation deteriorates further. Russians, for their part, will likely view U.S. security guarantees as irrelevant in and of themselves. The most important thing is also unclear: will U.S. security guarantees mean anything to Ukraine, and will the Americans be able to ensure their implementation? Petraeus emphasizes, the Biden and Trump administrations disagreed on many issues, but both held the position that it was not worth engaging in a conventional conflict with the world's largest nuclear power just to protect Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin was welcomed by a dancing robot as he arrived at an artificial intelligence conference in Moscow on Wednesday. According to Associated Press, Putin then took to the stage at the AI Journey conference, telling the audience that Russia must possess a whole range of its own technologies and products in the field of active artificial intelligence. The entire spectrum of such models must be trained and fully controlled by Russian specialists, at all stages, he added. Putin noted that creating new data centers and building new compact nuclear power sites to power them is a top priority for Russia. In less than 2 decades, primarily in the Urals, Siberia, and the Far East, we plan to build 38 nuclear power units. Their total capacity will be almost equal to the capacity of all currently operating nuclear power plants, Putin said.
Уважаемый Владимир Владимирович, приветствую вас на нашей конференции «Путешествие в мир искусственного интеллекта».
Федерации Владимир Владимирович Путин.
Наша страна должна обладать целым комплексом собственных технологий и продуктов в области генеративного искусственного интеллекта. Прежде всего, это, собственно, национальные языковые модели, как фундаментальные, так и малые для конкретных отраслей. Весь спектр таких моделей должен проходить обучение и полностью контролироваться российскими специалистами. Причем на всех этапах, включая проверку конечного продукта. В том числе в рамках международного плана. То менее чем за 2 десятилетия, прежде всего на Урале, в Сибири и на Дальнем Востоке, планируем построить 38 атомных энергоблоков. Их суммарная мощность будет практически равна мощности всей действующей сейчас атомной генерации. растущий потенциал отечественной атомной энергетики позволит нам последовательно расширять вычислительные мощности для искусственного интеллекта. Государства, бизнеса, науки вокруг задач технологического развития. А здесь определенного результата не останавливаться, а выводить